Hello! So recently I was playing Minecraft and my mouse suddenly disappeared for some reason, and that made me wonder, hey, would it be possible to beat the game without ever moving the camera? Well, let's find out. But first, let's set the rules for this challenge. Moving the camera around is not allowed. That's it. So we quickly rebind those keys to the keyboard and we get going. We spawn in a cool swamp and we start by cutting some wood. Alright, let's move to the next tree. What a beautiful forest. Anyway, after cutting those trees, we get some food and we start exploring. And that's where we start experiencing the first problem of this challenge. We can kinda only go forward. But thankfully, the game has this wonderful feature called Change Perspective. So if I need to go back, I can use it to see behind me, and we're going to use that very often. After a bit of walking, we find some iron, and we have another problem. How do we mine it? Well, to do this, we're going to use trapdoors. Since we can't move our camera down, we normally can't make a tunnel, because we can't break the bottom layer. But by using a trapdoor, we can crawl in a 1x1 area, allowing us to mine a tunnel to the other side, then we have to backtrack, and now we can break the upper part of the tunnel, allowing us to reach the iron. So now that we spent 2 whole minutes to mine an iron vein, we smelt it, we make a bucket for the nether portal, and we also make a pair of shears. This might not seem like the most important tool, but it's actually going to allow us to gather the most useful item in this challenge. Grass. I'm very serious. Let me explain. Let's say that I want to place a bed to pass the night. Sounds simple, right? Well, not really. This is how we normally place a bed. However, since we can't move the camera, we can't look down, so we can only place blocks against another block. But beds are 2 blocks long, so it refuses to place it. And that's where grass comes into play. Grass has the very unique property of being a block you can target, while also being able to override it with another block. So by using this property, we can set up grass in a way that allows us to place a bed. And that's not the only use grass has. We can also use it to place boats, which would otherwise have the same issue as beds. But wait, why would we even want to place a boat on the land? Well, because boats have an extremely useful feature. Yup. Pressing left or right in a boat makes you rotate around, effectively allowing you to rotate your camera horizontally without touching your mouse. So with this new discovery, we go back to adventuring. And we will need a bunch of wood, so we use a boat to cut trees faster. That's probably the only context in which saying this makes any sense. Anyway, now we're going to need lava to make a nether portal. So I thought about entering a cave, but quickly realized it was too dangerous, so we're going to sleep instead. There are monsters nearby? Where? Anyway, after this incident, we keep looking for lava, and after spending 10 minutes to get 4 iron, we find some lava. However, because we can't move our camera down, the shape of the terrain doesn't allow us to grab enough lava for a nether portal, so we'll have to find another lava pool. Alright, we found some new lava, and this one is actually gonna be usable, because the terrain allows us to dig under it. But before getting the lava, we need to set up the place for the portal. So with my boat, some ladders and some blocks, I used this tree to prepare the shape of the portal. Now, because we can't quickly move the camera around, we will need another bucket. And since I'm completely blind, I didn't see the iron ores in my inventory, so I went to mine some more. And it didn't go very well. But eventually, after dying a few times, I finally realized I already had the ores, so we make that new bucket, And now, let's build the portal. This took 20 minutes. Alright, before heading to the Nether, we will need a bit of food, so we hop on our boat and cause the extinction of a few species. And now we should have enough food to explore the Nether, so let's get going. Now, I was really scared of spawning in a Nether that looks like this, because we can't bridge, so we'd be kinda stuck. But thankfully that wasn't the case, and we actually got a pretty good spawn. We have lots of blocks around us we can use to make safe tunnels, and we even have a fortress nearby. So we place a trapdoor and start mining. Okay, now we actually start digging a tunnel, and we even find ancient debris on the way. So we keep digging, and after breaking a pickaxe and a half, we do find the fortress. There's even a little blaze to welcome us. Apart from the blaze, we do have a bit of a problem though. We did find the fortress, but getting down safely is going to be a bit complicated. We can't place a boat here to change our camera angle, and the only safe path would be on the right, so we basically have two options. Either we backtrack all the way to the other side of the tunnel to change our camera angle, or we jump in and pray. Whatever. Okay, now we can safely enter the fortress, and we can finally explore it. So we place a boat, and we get going. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. But after some time, we do end up finding the spawner room. Now, this was probably one of the most dangerous part of the run, so I paused the game to elaborate a plan. Okay, I saw a path on the left, and there's a path behind. So I can fall down, block the path on the left, quickly place a boat to block the entrance on the back, and then I can deal with the blazes. Perfect. Of course there's a mob behind me. Okay, he didn't follow me. Yeah, my plan kinda flopped. But on the way back to the spawner, I thought about something else. Wait, I might have an idea. The spawner is over there, right? Perfect. Okay, so now that we made a straight path to the spawner, no mobs will be able to attack us from behind. So it's time to fight. No. Oh. Okay, I have enough. Okay, so now that we have enough blaze rods, we seal off the blazes, and we start going back home. So we get up in this spiky biome to avoid mobs, and we find a place where we can make a tunnel. After digging for a while, we find an exit, and this friendly ghast helps us finish the tunnel. Then we can go on land, change our camera angle, and we're back. Alright, now that we're back home, we have a good night's sleep, and we can move to our next objective, Ender Pearls. Now, I don't really feel like going back to the Nether, so we will trade villagers instead. So we find a village, and it's time to trade. Now I took a quick look at all the professions again, and unsurprisingly the most viable option remains the fletcher. So we make a fletching table, and since the village didn't have a cleric, we also make a brewing stand. Alright, now it's time to mine some wood. A lot of wood. And being in a biome with tall trees is actually pretty good because we can use ladders to cut most of the tree. It still took forever though. And boom! No more cutting wood. Okay, now that we have the eyes of Ender, we can start moving towards the stronghold. So we start sailing, and we have some company. I made a new friend. Let's call him Bob. But alas, we quickly run out of water, so we'll have to part ways. No, I can't bring you with me, Bob. It's too dangerous. Goodbye. Anyway, after a bit of walking, we find some horses, and since I got a saddle in the fortress, I decided to give it a try. However, I quickly realized that riding a horse without moving the camera was a bit inconvenient. I'd rather walk. So we keep walking, and eventually we find the stronghold. I didn't think about that. How do I get down there? Yeah, since we have no way of mining down, getting to the stronghold is gonna be complicated. But I still had one hope. Strongholds are often connected to caves, so the only realistic solution we have would be to find a cave and make our way to the stronghold from it. However, this is a very dangerous process. So first, we're going to make a little base. Perfect. Now that we have a respawn point, we can put all of our gear in a chest, and we're going to scout around with just a few essential items, so that it doesn't really matter if we die. So let's go. I thought about going up the mountain to get a good view of the area, but since we can't look down, it wasn't very useful. We did find a chest on the way though, I guess. We keep looking around until the night falls, so we had to escape some skeletons. Well, I guess we found the cave. Okay, now that we're back in the cave, it's time to look for the stronghold. But unfortunately, we find something else. That's not the structure I was looking for. So we carefully explore the ancient city. And after a few dead ends, we finally find the stronghold. Alright, now that we found the stronghold, we jump back to our base. And we need to get back with our equipment, so we craft some more boats, and let's head back down. Alright, we're back in the stronghold, and navigating through it was a bit annoying, because placing boats in this enclosed area can be pretty hard. But overall, it went pretty smoothly. We find an iron chestplate, a cursed library. What the? And after a bit more messing around, we find the portal room. What? I didn't know this was even possible. Anyway, it's time to put down the eyes, put a chest, place our little bed, and we're ready to go. But first, what's the plan to kill the dragon? Beds are not really a viable option. So we will have to destroy those crystals. And for this, I crafted a few ladders. So we jump in, and we start climbing the towers to break the crystals. At some point we started running out of ladders though, so we had to get them back to reuse them. Now, you might be concerned about the dragon knocking us away, but actually it didn't really cause any issues. The real issue was those guys. Because we can't move the camera around, we're constantly at a risk of looking straight at their eyes, and they definitely caused me a lot of troubles. I knew I should have brained a pumpkin. But we keep going, and after a few incidents... Bro, we finished breaking the crystals. Alright, now that the crystals are broken, we need to hit the dragon. But we can't look up, so how are we gonna hit it? Well, after the dragon has finished perching, standing in its hitbox actually doesn't deal damage until it lifts off. So we can just wait for it to land, and we have a free damage window. So we just have to do this a few times, and that's it. So is it possible to beat Minecraft without moving the camera? Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.